Classic Ultimate. My submod for Undying Nephilim's mod Hyrule Total War is based on the release from December 2014. Okay, so I'm gonna do a different type of video. So recently, the YouTuber Diso, one of the people who plays Warcraft Total War, another mod for Medieval Total War Kingdoms. So this is also a mod for Medieval Total War Kingdoms, strategy game from 2006. I believe the Warcraft Total War mod was released for the first time in April 2018, and this mod in the version that I based my summon on was released in December 2014. I believe that the earliest custom battle version was released during the spring of 2011, and the first campaign beta was released in September 2012 of the original mod Hyrule Total War. But I based this summon on the latest release by Undying Nephilim with the old models. He remade a mod with different models in 2015, I believe. He started to remake it, and his final version of that version of the mod released during the summer of 2017. So this is based on his earlier work from December 2014, as stated. So I'm gonna do a different video because recently Diso over on YouTube and on the Discord, he has made videos of Warcraft Total War where he previews faction rosters. So I wanted to do a similar video for Hyrule Total War. So here we have the Kingdom of Hyrule. So we can go through the units. We have Castle Guards, we have Mounted Hyrulean Knights, we have Ironclad Elites, we have Archer Knights, we have Hyrulean Macemen, we have the Triforce Vanguards, the Mounted Recruits, the Hylian Crossbowmen, the Flail Knights, the Hyrulean Knights, the Hylian Infantry, Swordsman Recruits, Town Guards, and the Hylian Trebuchet, and we have the Repeater Crossbow. Now we're gonna start the battle and take a look at the units in battle. This is the early Hyrule roster. There are 3 eras. You can select the early era, which is the one named Disabled, means that mercenaries and heroes are disabled. And you can select the middle era, which is the one that says, I believe, mercenaries enabled, and or mercenaries, maybe it says. We will see. And then that version has then Hyrule will have these units, and they have also access to their mercenaries in the mod, which is a bunch of units that are available as mercenaries in custom battle if you use mercenaries. And then the third option says no mercenaries but with heroes enabled, and that variant has the heroes but do not have the mercenaries. So all the mercenaries are disabled, but we add the heroes to the rest of the roster. I don't remember if that version also had if that tier or era also had the Great Sea units. I'm not sure. Then there is the all option where we get every unit they have in the game, and in that tier for sure, or in that era, they have the Great Sea units. We'll take a look at all their eras. In the early era I just wanted them to have the original Hyrule roster by Undying Nephilim. So all the units with purple cards are by Undying Nephilim, the creator of Hyrule Total War. They have been in the mod since he worked on it. And then these 2 units are new for the sub-mod, but they were in the mod. I just made them into units. They were bodyguards unique for certain heroes. I believe the Hyrulean Macemen were unique to the hero Rauru, Sage of Time, and also used by Princess Zelda in a Hyrule Historia mission. I believe Zelda with a coat used this bodyguard as well. So it was a unique bodyguard made into its own unit. I created a unit card here that doesn't have the background. I couldn't do the background stuff because I didn't have access to the background picture, the purple picture, and didn't want to bother. So I just made cards that fit the style but without the purple background, and that way you can see also that they are new for the submod. They stand out from the older ones. The Archer Knights, similar level, were also unique to a hero. It was the bodyguard of Princess Zelda 2. I believe Rauru and Zelda still has these bodyguards, and Princess Zelda with a coat in Hyrule Historia and in the campaign. But now they are in custom battle and available to be recruited in the campaign. So the new thing is that they are available as playable for more characters, for more generals than just the leader. You can recruit these 2 as elite units now. unlike in the older versions. And these two have been in every version of my submod ever since the summer of 2019, when I released the first version of the submod, Classic Ultimate. So yeah, in the early era, which states disable, you only have 2 new units, and we'll take a look at the units, even if most of them are all, and all of them were in the reduced to were bodyguards of 2 heroes, and weren't really units in my submod. I think they needed to be bodyguards on start deployment. Fuck, I did a mistake. I wanted them to start inside of the city, but it seems the Gerudo are starting inside of the city and my army is starting outside. That wasn't intended. Okay, then we'll just check them like this. We'll check the next tier of their roster in the city. We'll make sure that Hyrule is the one defending. I fucked up there. Okay, so we have the Castle Guards. They are a unique infantry unit, an elite spearman unit that can use skill from formation. They are also the bodyguard of Princess Zelda 1 in the campaign. They're one of the later tier units in the Kingdom of Hyrule's roster. We have mounted recruits. The recruits, they are the second worst infantry unit in the game, but they exist as a cavalry unit too. The mounted recruits, they are the worst cavalry unit of the Kingdom of Hyrule, but is still a pretty good and decent cavalry unit. So in the current release and in all releases since the summer of 2019, I believe that the swordsman recruits and the Knights of Hyrule, the Mounted Knights of Hyrule, they are only available from the area of London Branch, limiting down the cavalry to very few units per army, because they are only available from one area in the Kingdom of Hyrule. In the next coming version of the mod, I have decided to make these mounted recruits available from all the Hylian, Visrobe, Shrika, Gerudo, Lanayur Province and Lanayur Province areas. All of those areas have horses, you know. Hyrule used to only have it from London Ranch, but the reason that they would get horses from Odona Province, their province, another faction in the game. It is an independent faction in the game, but is a province of the Kingdom of Hyrule. So a reason that they should get horses from there, so that's why the horses will be available from Hylian lands and Visrobe and Shrika lands. Shrika lands, that's just Kakariko. It's pretty much a part of Hyrule. And Visrobe areas, that's Vigaro and Vigaro Glade. They are also pretty much Hyrule. They are in the same area pretty much. And then Gerudo has their own horses and stables. And the Lanayur province have their own horses too. And the Odona province have a lot of horses. They are a horse-based faction. They have the best cavalry in the game. So, okay, so Kingdom of Hyrule, their army description is that they are a balanced faction. They have a very balanced army with infantry, cavalry, and ranged units, but they have no superiority in any regard. And one weakness that they have in the current release and in all those former releases is that they had only cavalry from London Branch. Very, very rare cavalry units. But in the next version they will have easier access to these units and to the other cavalry, so they will be stronger. They are a little bit too weak with just infantry and ranged units and very few cavalry units. And it's boring when the enemy has like 1,000,000 cavalry units and you have very few. So in the next release, this unit will be much more common, and it's a decent cavalry unit. It won't be able to compete against heavy cavalry, of course, of other factions, but it can still fight the light cavalry of the Gerudo and the light cavalry of Odona, but not the heavy cavalry of the Lanayur province or any of the heavy cavalry from the Odona province. Also the Kokiri, they have light cavalry too, but they are more numerous, so I think the Kokiri would be okay. So I would say that this unit is worth it to recruit, because cavalry is so rare in the current release that any cavalry you can get is worth it. Okay, and this unit is a really good spearman unit against cavalry of the enemy, and also good against infantry. Okay. We have the Ironclad Elites, another elite unit, the Kingdom of Hyrule. really good unit. By the way, I didn't check the actual stats. Let's start the game, pause the game. So the stats, the castle guards, they have 6 attack, 2 charge bonus, and 9 total defense. Can do skill trom, bonus fighting cavalry, good morale. It's a decent infantry unit, but good against cavalry, which Hyrule needs because they have very few cavalry units in the current release. So any units that are good against cavalry will be useful. Okay, the cavalry unit under recruits, males and females. They have 5 attack, 5 charge bonus, and 6 total defense. If you compare them to the other unit, they have 3 less in defense, and they have 1 less in attack. They have, as far as I can see, 3 more in charge bonus. So the cavalry does more damage, and they charge compared to the infantry. They have good morale and good stamina. Yeah. Well, the castle guards had good morale, bonus fighting cavalry, and can do skill from. Okay. Okay, so this unit is a decent unit. It should be recruited from long range whenever possible, because Hyrule doesn't get a lot of infantry. A lot of cavalry. Then we have the ironclad elites, another heavy infantry unit. Unlike the castle guards, they are focused on fighting infantry. They are like halberdiers of the Kingdom of Hyrule, like the pikemen without being pikemen, so they are more like halberdiers. Okay, abilities at a glance, inspires courage in nearby troops. So this unit is like a unit of commanders, etc. I mean, it's used as a bodyguard for some of the heroes in the game. Not sure exactly which hero, but I think General Kazak and General Kazu do have this unit as a bodyguard. And it will inspire infantry. It will inspire other troops on the battlefield in the army. And it has a bonus fighting cavalry, so this unit can also be used against cavalry. It's halberdiers, and then good morale, good stamina, very long spears. So this unit would be even better than the castle guards at fighting cavalry and infantry. It's good against both. Well, the other unit is mainly focused on fighting cavalry. So attack 11 instead of 6. It's almost twice the attack. And 9 defense, same defense as the castle guards, despite lacking a shield, but they are heavily armored from top to toe, and they have charge bonus 2. The castle guards have charge bonus 2. The ironclad leads have charge bonus 4. So this is a better unit than the castle guards. They are 62 in a unit instead of 153, so they are fewer but stronger. So I'd say this is a really good unit that should be recruited whenever possible to fight cavalry and such from other factions. It's a unit of both men and females. You see, sorry, I'm a little bit. This is the first video I do of this type. You will have to bear with me. I fucked up a little bit. Okay, so the females are the ones with hair visible in the back. We have 2 versions: orange hair and or red hair and blonde hair. Then we have males. Okay, 2 elite infantry units. Then you can check the worst unit in the roster, the town guards. They spread out because they have the civilian animation. Try to give the civilian animation to any militia-like unit. The reason that the town guards are the militia of the Kingdom of Hyrule, so they have the civilian animation. I couldn't use the civilians, because the garrison script that I first used to make civilians spawn whenever a settlement is under siege and then disappear whenever the battle is over. It didn't work well. It made the game much more unstable, and before you knew it, it would crash after battles and such. So I believe there were way more CTD or crashes to desktop when I had that script in the game, in the campaign. So I had to remove the script, and without the script, I believe that there were no point keeping the civilians for most factions. I had civilians made for every faction in the game, pretty much, except the Goma and probably the undead Stalfos, maybe someone else. I had civilians for the Kokir, the Hylians, the Lanayuru, the Sora, the River Sora, the Labyrinthans, the Dunians, the Gerudo, and even the Icanians and others, Moblins, and the Gorons, and some others, probably the Twilight. But I removed most of them. I only kept the ones that are for Hyrule Historia basic missions, like the Moblin ones and the Icanian ones. They were in Hyrule Historia, and I also have I believe a Wind Tribe civilian unit for one of the missions that isn't in the campaign. And I believe that I kept the Huronian civilians. They are the Hylian civilians, but remade into Huronian ones. So Huron is like a human civilization, a human faction like Hyrule. But they have hardly any units. They have 3 units, I believe. They have the Mystics, and they have a soldier unit, and they have their 3, which is like their giant hero, and then they have the civilian unit. So that civilian unit used to be Hyrule's civilian unit, but I didn't want, for example, Hyrule to start recruiting civilians in the game, because it would look weird if you have an army on the battlefield and then there are like civilian women and men in the middle of the army on the battlefield. It wouldn't look well. That's why Undyne Nephilim wanted a script that spawned the civilians and when they were under siege, and then remove them after the siege. And that's what I tried to implement, but it caused instability in the game, so I had no choice but to remove it. I had that script for every faction and such, with civilians for every faction in, I believe, the 2019 release of the submod. Maybe even in one of the later ones, but I realized that they the script caused game-breaking crashes, so I had no choice but to remove it. And when I removed it, I decided to replace the civilian units of most factions with actual units that fought in battle. So instead, I added the civilian animations to the militia units to make them patrol in cities. So when you have, for example, a siege battle where you defend, for example, if Hyrule was holding this area, the capital of the Kingdom of Hyrule, Hyrule Prime, if Hyrule was holding this area, then they would have their units inside, and the town guards would then have the civilian animation. That would make, if you leave them standing, they will start to move around. So they would, if you have a few of those units a little bit here and there in the settlement, they will start to walk all over the place, which gives the impression that they are patrolling in the city. Usually that animation was created for civilians. So whenever this settlement was under siege and you and the player had to defend, you would spawn civilians during the battle that you could defend and such. And then, of course, they can fight too, but they have no weapons. And then so they would suck. And then after the battle, they would disappear. But because I had to remove the script, I added the animation to the militia instead. So the town guards would instead patrol in the city, which is very nice for immersion. Unfortunately, on the battlefield, they used to spread out like this, which isn't really good. But there was no way to prevent it, At least they are still useful in battle. You can select them, and then you can click on the enemy to attack the enemy, and then they will charge, and they will unite and attack. They will combine into one unit, one line, and then they will charge the enemy. But yeah, the fact that they spread out could be bad for battlefield battles, but it works very well with immersion when you defend. If you have a town guard unit in one of your cities, then they will spread out, and it will bring some immersion to the game if you just let them walk around. If you select them and click on them to move, they will of course join together in one unit. But as soon as you leave them standing, they will start to move around. And this is the worst unit in the roster. They have good morale, abilities at a glance, and then they have attack 3, charge bonus 3, so they have pretty good charge bonus. They are a spearman unit, so they are good against cavalry. and total defense 7. So they have actually one better defense than the two elite units, but and one better charge bonus than the castle guards, but they have way worse attack, 3 worse compared to the castle guards, and 9 worse compared to the ironclad elites. Okay, and these are like the militia of the faction, the worst unit you can get. Then we have the swordsman recruits. They are almost like militia. They are swordsmen in training, or knights in training. They are both males and females, training to become knights. They are pretty bad. So they have attack 5, so 2 better than the town guards, and charge bonus 2. They have 1 worse charge bonus. They do not have as good charge as the spearmen. Militia, they have total defense 6, which is way better. No, it's worse actually. They have worse defense than the town guards. Same, no, 3 worse than the other 2. Okay, so the swordsman recruits have the worst defense yet. I believe the cavalry, the mounted recruits, have the same defense as the dismounted ones. The same attack, but have way better charge. 5 charge instead of 2. But the swordsman recruits are 126 in a unit, fewer than the castle guards. They are not really worth it to be recruited, but they are more worth it to recruit than the town guards. I would use these to fight other infantry over the others, but if the enemy has cavalry units, the town guards are probably better because they have spears. Okay, so this is the worst swordsman unit in the game, and the other unit, the town guards, is the worst spearman unit of the faction in the game. Might be other factions with worse units, of course. Okay, then we have their basic infantry unit, the Hylian infantry. They are the mainline troop of the army. They are the most common troops in the Hylian army. They have 127 in a unit. They have 6 attack and 3 charge bonus, as compared to the swordsman recruits with 5 attack instead of 6 and 2 charge bonus instead of 3. So they have 1 more attack and 1 more charge bonus. Then they have total defense 8. They have 2 more in defense because they are heavily armored compared to the swordsman recruits that were like armored with leather. They had the helmet that was plate and some shoulder pads and gloves that are plate armor, but these guys are fully clad in plates. They have better defense, good morale and good stamina. Well, the swordsman recruits do not have any abilities at a glance. So the mainstay infantry, Hylian infantry, are the most common infantry in a Hylian army and more worth it to recruit than the swordsman recruits and the town guards. However, they only have males, I believe. Maybe there are females here too, but because of their helmets, it's impossible to tell them apart from one another. All the units look the same, but I suspect that maybe there are both females and males. I don't know. Swordsman recruits are both. So okay, then we have the Hyrulean Knights, one of the elite units, the first elite unit you get. It's like the upgraded version of the Hylian infantry. They have good morale and good stamina. Attack 8, charge bonus 4, so they have 1 more charge bonus than the Hylian infantry, and they have they have 2 more attack. They are about the same in numbers. They have 10 total defense instead of 8, so the defense got upped with 2. So this is a really good infantry unit of the Kingdom of Hyrule. They're knights, and is more worth it to recruit than the Hylian infantry. But the Hylian infantry are more common. Okay, and then we have, but in the late game you will have a lot of these Hyrulean knights. Then we have the flail knights. They are similar to the Hyrulean knights, but are using flails with a unique. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong unit. With a unique animation, a unique weapon. very different and cool unit. They don't look bugged when they stand on the ground, but when they use their flail, for some reason their feet will end up below the ground, which is a bit sad. I have no idea how to fix it. It's an old bug. And this unit is very unique. Knight unit. It has the same armor as the Hylian Knight unit, and they have 2 more charge bonus and 2 more attacks. So this unit is actually better than the Hylian Knight. So this unit I would recommend over the Hylian Knight. They are also good against cavalry because they have a unique animation that is pretty powerful, where they whirl this mace thing around, a flail thing around. They are good. I would recruit this over the knights. And then we have the Hylian Maceman. That we are a unique bodyguard for Rauru, Sage of Time. In the past. Sorry, I needed to fix the microphone. Okay, so Hylian Macemen, they are like the knights. They have the same defense, they have good morale, good stamina, but they can't hide, unlike the others. So they are worse in that sense. They will not be able to hide. And they are always visible on the battlefield, and same defense. Charge bonus 4, which is 2 worse than the Flail Knights, and the same, I believe, as the Hylian Knights. And they have 8 attack, so they have the same attack as the Hylian Knights too. So these are very similar to the Knights. Same stats and same numbers, but can't hide. So they might actually be seen as worse, but they are a unique unit using a different animation, I believe, and a different weapon. So you can go for either, I guess, but I believe these are slightly better, to be honest. They are slightly better because they can hide. And they are cheaper too, they cost 600 instead of 1000. So I would say the Hylian Knights are better than the Hylian Macemen. Okay. And then as for units, we have the crossbowmen, the Hylian crossbowmen. They're only ranged unit in the original Hyrule War game. And it's like a basic or medium, I believe medium ranged unit. I clicked the wrong unit, I meant the crossbowmen. Okay, so we have crossbowmen, they are like the heaviest crossbowmen of the vanilla game. They have shields on their back, and they have crossbows, helmets and such. They go down on their knee, and then they load the crossbow, and then they go up and fire it, and then they go down and load, and then they go up and fire. They are pretty cheap, 400. Ability is the glance, effective against armor, so they can penetrate armored enemies, which is very useful. Long range missiles, they have a long range, useful from walls and on the battlefield, good morale. So they have melee attack 2, they use a knife in melee, so they are really bad in melee. You should avoid using these in melee. They have charge bonus 1, so really bad charge bonus 2, but their missile attack is 6, so they have a pretty good missile attack. 127 Hylian crossbowmen in a unit, and 8 total defense. They have pretty good defense. Same defense as the as the infantry. They have the same defense as the infantry, and the same ranged attack as the infantry has in melee attack. So they are pretty good. A medium unit, and the only option for Hyrule in the early game, and 1 out of 2 options in the medium game or early late game. They are pretty cheap, so I would certainly recommend using this unit for ranged units. We have another ranged unit, the Archer Knights. They are an elite unit. They cost as much as the Hylian Macemen, 1000. They are not cheap. They are the unique bodyguard of Princess Zelda 2 in the original mod. They have shields, and they have the same armor as the knights, and they have swords in melee, so they are pretty much the same unit as this unit, Hylian Knights, but with added bow and arrow So they are knights with a bow and arrow. Okay, so they have 7 melee attack instead of 8, so they have 1 less in melee. They have missile attack 10, very good, because that's 4 better than the Hylian crossbowmen. And they have 2 charge bonus. Well, these had 4s in total. This means they have 12 attack, and Archer Knights would have 9 in melee. So they are worse in melee than the Knights, but not much worse. But instead you get a really good range unit, and they are still better than Hylian infantry. So it's like you get slightly worse Knight unit, but with the ability to fire at enemies from afar as well. With all the range units, if you hold Alt and select an enemy, when you have a range unit selected, they will attack in melee. So you can decide if they should use their shield, their shield and sword, or if they should use their bow and arrow. And this unit is obviously better with the bow, but still very good in melee. And I would recommend using this unit over using Hylian Knights, but the Hylian Knights cost 400 less, so they are still cheaper. Okay, the Archer Knights, they have abilities at a glance, can use sharpened stakes. So when you start battle, you can select stakes that you can place in front of them, so they are protected from enemy cavalry, which is very useful, especially if you defend a settlement and place the unit here. Then you place stakes, then any cavalry that tries to get into the city will die on the stakes. Of course, the cavalry can survive by walking past the stakes, but as long as they run or gallop, they will die. And the AI is so stupid, so they will just gallop them right into the stakes and die. But as the player, you could just walk and get past the stakes, of course. Okay, effective against armor. So these guys are also effective against armor, just like the crossbowmen. So heavy armor won't protect their enemies, and they have long-range missiles, just like the crossbowmen, and good morale. Same morale, long-range missiles, and effective against armor, but can use sharpened stakes. So these are really good at defensive duties, and is the best long-range unit in the Hylian army in the early game, and in the early late game, and in the late game until you reach the turn 151, I believe, where you get Tetralina Cella 5 to spawn, and after that you can get access to the Great Sea units, where they have better range units. But this is the best unit in the Hylian army, the best range units in the Hylian army until turn 151 in the campaign. And it used to be a unique bodyguard of a hero, but in this submod it's recruitable in the campaign, and I recommend to use this unit, as it's not only better than the Hylian crossbowmen in terms of ranged abilities, but it has way more capabilities as a melee unit, almost as good as the Hylian Knights, while the other unit, the Hylian crossbowmen, they suck in melee with their knives and no armor whatsoever. Okay, so this unit is worth to recruit because it's cheap, but in the later game you want to go for this unit. So I believe also with Hyrule that certain units will be replaced by Great Sea units. You won't be able to recruit them unless you have a barrack level that is lower than the 5th barrack level. I believe after after turn 151, Tetralina Cella 5 will spawn in the campaign, and then you get to recruit the Great Sea units, and the Great Sea units will replace at least 5 of the old units, but only from the 5th barrack level. So if you have a level 1, 2, 3 or 4 barrack, you can still get the earlier units. And of course any recruited units of these troops will still be available to you, but you won't be able to recruit these units from the 5th barrack level anymore after Tetralina has spawned. So this unit is very useful until you reach turn 151. Okay, so for example, I believe the town guards will be available during the whole campaign. They are never replaced. the swordsman recruits, this unit will be replaced by a different unit named, I believe, assault battalions. They are also females and men in one unit, and it's a light armored swordsman unit with shields, but it's a more modern one, and I decided to let that unit replace this one after turn 151. So this unit will be in the army until you reach turn 151. Then you will get the assault battalions instead of this unit actually. They are slightly better. And then the Hylian infantry, they are a mainstay unit in the army. They will be available through the entire campaign. They are never replaced. Then you have the Hyrulean knights. They are replaced by a unit named Knights of New Hyrule. Same unit pretty much, but with a different cape and some different alterations to the look. It's a more modern knight, but with probably just slightly better stats. So it will replace this unit in the late game. And then we have the flail knights here. They are never replaced, so we'll always be able to recruit these guys in the army. Then we have the Hylian crossbowmen. They are replaced by a unit named surveyors, which is a unit of both men and females, lightly armored unit without any shields. They have backpacks on the back instead, and then they have a smaller crossbow that they can fire more. I believe it requires less loading before it's fired, but it's similar in quality, just a more modern crossbowman unit. It will replace this unit after turn 151. So that's another one. And then we have the mounted recruits. They are never replaced. We'll always be able to recruit the mounted recruits. So this unit will always remain as a mounted unit throughout the campaign. Then we have the Hyrulean macemen. In the current release they won't be replaced, so we'll always have access to this unit in the current release. In the next release it will be replaced in the late game by an elite unit named the Knights of the Iron Triforce. So this unit won't be available after turn 151 in future versions of the mod, but currently it is. Then we have the Archer Knights, and they too will be replaced by a unit named Knights of Windfall, which is another range unit that uses like a automatic crossbow in battle. So it's like a crossbow, but like a machine version of the crossbow. It's like they fire ballista shots instead of normal crossbow shots. They are really powerful. They are about the same in numbers, but way more powerful. It's one of the best units in the game, and available after turn 151 for the Kingdom of Hyrule, and it replaces this unit after Terralina spawned. We have the Ironclad Elites, and they will always remain in the roster. We have the mounted Hyrulean Knights, the heavy cavalry of the Kingdom of Hyrule. They are available until turn 151, but you will be able to recruit this unit after if you have a barrack level lower than the 5th tier, the barracks. Okay, so this cavalry unit is better than the swordsman recruits. If you look at the mounted recruits, they have 5 attack, 5 charge bonus, 6 defense, good morale and good stamina, and 76 in a unit. Well, the mounted Hyrulean Knights are 63 in a unit. There are slightly fewer. They have 8 attack and 8 charge bonus instead of 5. So they have increased stats by 3 in both areas. And then they have total defense 11 instead of 6. They can form wedge, so they have the wedge formation. They have good morale, powerful charge, good stamina. It's a very, very good unit, and in the current release and in the older releases they can only be available from long range, just like the mounted recruits, and I suggest recruiting them whenever you can, and they do not replace any other unit. You can have both these units and the mounted recruits at once. However, in the future version of the mod, you will get these units too from all those areas I mentioned: the Visrob areas, the Hylian areas, the Lanayur areas, the Shrika areas, and the Gerudo areas, and the Ordonian areas. So this will be way more common, but you can only get it after you have reached after you have upgraded a barrack to level 4, while the other unit is available from scratch, from the earliest barrack, from the first barrack level. But this unit will be replaced after Tetralina Cella 5 spawns on turn 151. So this unit will be replaced by the Knights of Red Lions, which is an elite cavalry unit, just like this, but it's replacing this unit. It has the same numbers, but better stats. Okay, so they will get a new knight unit after turn 151, but until then you have this as the best cavalry unit, and it's highly recommended to use it. Then after that we have their, so I believe I've checked most of their units. We have the Ballista, their first like siege unit. It's like a ballista, but it shoots like multiple bolts at once. So it's more like one of those later period vanilla siege engines. It's called the repeater crossbow, and it works exactly the same as the unit I mentioned, the Knights of Windfall. It's a unit that shoots multiple crossbows at once. The same is true for that unit that will replace the Archer Knights. It has like repeater crossbows for each soldier. So this siege engine is pretty good, and that unit is really good because it has like this siege engine, but for I believe no, it doesn't fire multiple shots, but it fires very powerful shots. It's like a ballista, but in the form of an infantry unit. This unit is more like a machine gun shooting crossbow fire. It's a really good siege engine that is unique to the Kingdom of Hyrule. Then we have the Hylian trebuchet or Hylian trebuchet, which is just a trebuchet but with a unique look for the Kingdom of Hyrule. Really good siege engine, just like in the vanilla game. This one is the only unique siege. These are the two siege units you get at the Kingdom of Hyrule from all their areas, and both of them are useful. Unfortunately, in the mod there are not many areas that have walls, and those that have walls that are indestructible. So you won't have much use of the trebuchet against walls in this mod. All the vanilla cities of the earlier versions of the mod have been removed and replaced with custom settlements, and all the custom settlements either lack walls or, like this settlement, has walls that cannot be destroyed. It states we can attack it, but it's impossible to destroy the wall. So the only way to get into the city is by destroying the gate or by using ladders and towers on the walls. You can get up on the walls, but you cannot destroy the walls. So the trebuchets are not worth it against walls in this mod, but you can use them on the battlefield to kill a lot of soldiers, and this unit is even more effective, I believe, against soldiers on the battlefield. Trebuchet would have been more useful if we still used vanilla cities, but as we are not using vanilla cities, these are not very useful anymore. Okay, and then we have one unit remaining. We have the elite unit, the Triforce Vanguards, a really cool female unit. Golden armor, looking similar to the knights in terms of their cape, with a unique banner, Triforce banner, and really cool armor and helmet. Very unique elite infantry unit, the best infantry in the Kingdom of Hyrule's army. Soldiers 75, there are not that many. They have 12 attack, 4 charge bonus. In total 16 attack, very good, and total defense 16. Really good unit, and abilities to glance inspires courage in nearby troops. Good morale, can't hide, very good stamina. This is the best infantry unit in their army, but it cannot be recruited. Instead, this unit will spawn whenever their capital, Hyrule Prime, is under siege, because in this settlement we have this church here, and inside of this church we have the Triforce, and these guys, they spawn to protect the Triforce whenever the capital is under siege. Then after the battle they disappear. It's the same script as for the civilians, but for this unit it worked without causing instability. When I used it for a lot of civilian units for different factions and had a lot of settlements involved and such, then it caused instability. It doesn't cause any instability with this unit, but it's a unit unique for the Kingdom of Hyrule whenever their capital is under siege. They will help defend. You get one of those units every time the capital is under siege if you are holding the capital as this faction. If you hold it as someone else, you won't get the unit. It's a Hyrule unique unit. However, I believe that the Church of Majora has a similar unit in their roster, which is a reskinned version of this unit with like a purple armor instead, and they spawn whenever Majora Prime is under attack. The area known as, I believe, Dead Market Tree in the campaign, because I couldn't change the name of the game because it caused issues with some campaigns when I changed that file. But whenever Majora's capital is under siege, they also spawn this unit, and it will disappear whenever the siege is over. So it's a unit that is very rarely seen in the game, and is a defensive infantry unit, but extremely good. Okay, and that's all of the Kingdom of Hyrule. I will pause the recording here, and then I will recreate this setting, but have the troops inside of the city, and I will not show these units. I will show the other troops in their roster. So these units that we showed right now are the early game units. You will have them in the early game, early, mid and late game, until you reach turn 151. I didn't show any of their mercenaries, and I didn't show any of their heroes and such. I believe most heroes have been removed from the custom battles. I won't preview any heroes, but all the heroes are in the campaign. But I can say that Princess Zelda 5 has this bodyguard, the Mounted Hylian Knights. Princess Zelda 1, the official version of her, has this bodyguard, the Castle Guards. And then we have General Kazak and General Kaso. They have the Ironclad Elites as their bodyguard. We have Rauru's Age of Time and Princess Zelda with a coat from Hyrule Historia. She's also in the campaign now. There are 3 Zelda ones in the campaign. So she has this bodyguard, the Hylian Maceman, and Rauru has this bodyguard as well. We have Zelda 2, she has this bodyguard. And then we have Link, and he has the bodyguard of Hylian Knights. Link, the Hero of Time. And then there is Fi, she's like a giant general, a single unit entity general. She is very small, she's smaller than a normal unit, but she counts as a single entity unit. She has no bodyguard. And generic generals can have Hylian infantry as their bodyguards, or they can sometimes have, I believe they have the Hylian infantry generic generals. And I believe that's it. I believe also that the Great Sea Total War heroes, I believe Zelda 5 exists as 2 versions. We have Kid Zelda 5, the one from this mod, which has the Mounted Hylian Knights bodyguard, this bodyguard. And then we have adult or teenage Princess Terralina Zelda 5 that has a bodyguard of Knights of New Hyrule that we will check later. The one unit that replaces the Hylian Knights. We have another hero named Arile, I believe, Asrile probably, and she has a bodyguard of the Surveyors, the unit that will replace the Hylian crossbow. And then we have, besides those 2, I believe we had a Lana Euro hero, Queen Rutella, that has one of the bodyguards from Great Sea, the Aquamarines, and then we have a Librinian hero, Captain Lindbeck, that has the Librinian Pistolman from Great Sea Total War 2. So we only had access to the Hylian army from Great Sea, and all of it is in this mod. In custom battle, all the units are available, and in the campaign. Okay, I won't preview all the mercenaries in the game, because there is really no reason. Because most of the mercenaries are mercenaries for every faction in the game. Only very few are unique. We'll check the ones that are unique for the Kingdom of Hyrule, but not the ones that are available to everyone. Okay, see you soon. Alright, I'm back. So here we can see the army in the third era. So I believe the first era, named Disabled, has only the original units of the Kingdom of Hyrule, plus the added bodyguards, the Archer Knights and the Hylian Macemen, as we saw. So the third era, that says no mercs, in other words no mercenaries, has these units. We had some heroes here. I believe Princess Zelda Hyrule Warriors used to have the hero Princess Zelda 3, the unique Betrayon only look. If you use this unit in custom battle, she won't have the actual hero, because I am using this unit in the campaign as a unique bodyguard for that hero, but I removed the hero because I didn't want to add a specific unit and try for the hero in the campaign. If I had kept the hero in the custom battle with the hero available in the battle, then I would have needed another unit slot for the campaign version. Otherwise, I would have had two heroes with Zelda, because you see in custom battle the heroes are officers. Like, you can have 3 extra officers in every unit, and if you use a hero in custom battle, they are one of those 3 officers. In the campaign they are generals, which means that in the campaign they are not officers. So if I kept the hero in custom battle, I would have both the general and one of the officers be the same character. So we would have 2 Zeldas instead of 1. And the only way to prevent that was to either remove the hero from custom battle. So when I start the game with this unit, we won't have Zelda as an officer, so she won't be in the actual unit. We will only have her bodyguard of the unique Hylian Knights unit, and in the campaign we'll still have the hero because she spawned as general for the unit. But if I kept her, we would have 2 Zeldas instead of 1, as I said. The only way to prevent that otherwise is to add another unit with the hero removed, and then keep this unit for the custom battles, but I didn't do that. So this unit is actually the bodyguard and not the Zelda hero. But I believe in the campaign that we will never see Zelda's unit card, because she is only used as the bodyguard of 1 hero character. She is not the unit is not recruitable. Okay. So we'll take a look at the unit in the game soon. We also have Link, the hero of time. He was counted as one of the mercenaries, I believe. Originally, he has a yellow background like the mercenaries, the original game, original mod. I didn't remove Link because he is too important, so I kept him. And then we have Fi, their single entity unit. I didn't remove any of the single entity giants from custom battle. Then we have General Akaso, one of the generals of the Kingdom of Hyrule. He will spawn for the Kingdom of Hyrule as a general on turn 91 in the campaign. At the same time Zelda 3 spawns, and this Zelda spawns at that time too. I believe there are 2 Zelda 3s, the original one and this bonus Betrayon one, and they spawn together with General Kazak and General Akaso. But in the, I believe, Freeform campaign you won't get the Akaso because he starts as the leader of the Undead Stalfos. But in the Hyrule Historia campaign you go to multiplayer hot seat, Hyrule Historia campaign, then there you will find in the Hyrule Historia campaigns either the one with locked alliances or the one without locked alliances. You will get General Akaso as a leader for the Kingdom of Hyrule, as one of the leaders for the armies of Hyrule. I mean, General Kazak is future King Kazak and the father of Zelda 5, I believe. He also is a hero in custom battle here. Then we have some units that we saw previously that will still be available in the late game. Maybe this unit won't be available, so instead we would have 2 of these. Okay, and then we have these Great Sea units that we'll take a look at. We'll start up the game now. We need siege equipment for the enemy. Start the game. Now the army will start inside of Kingdom of Hyrule's capital, Hyrule Prime. Alright, start deployment. So, the Kingdom of Hyrule will take a bit longer to preview than other factions because they have different units in different eras. Here we have the Princess Zelda Hyrule Warriors bodyguard. It's a bodyguard of Hyrulean Knights actually, but used to be a custom battle unit for that Zelda. So we see here the picture of Zelda 3. She looked in the Hyrule Patreon only bonus. I supported and I am the creator of the original mod back in 2014 on Patreon, and got 2 unique Zeldas for supporting him. I got this Zelda with this unique skin for the bodyguard. It's just a Hyrulean Knights unit with a unique bodyguard look. I believe they have the same model as the Hyrulean Knights, but with a different skin for the shields, different cape, and different looking like tabard. Okay, and yeah, inspired by Hyrule Warriors, which is a game, an official game set in the Zelda universe from Nintendo. Okay, so this is a unique bodyguard. They are not recruitable in the campaign. I might change that, so they will be recruitable by the Kingdom of Hyrule. But then I need to make new unit cards too. Currently they are only available in the campaign for Zelda as a unique bodyguard. But if they are ever gonna be recruitable in the game, like any other unit, then it will be after Princess Zelda 5 has spawned, I believe. And I will need to remake this unit info card to show the knight instead of Zelda, and we'll also need to remake the unit card here so that it shows the knight instead of Zelda. That's a unique bodyguard unit for a unique custom hero in the game. Then we have let's remove these guys. Then we have the unit here. We can check the other units first. We have the verse units we can check first. We have the assault battalions. There are 2 different females, one with dark hair and one with light brown hair. And they have shields and swords, more modern. They look like they are from a later era, like an era where they moved out with ships and fought pirates and such. So this unit is available after Tyrolina Zelda 5 has spawned on turn 151. And it will replace the swordsman recruits. So we do not have the swordsman here, but we select the unit. Start the battle. Okay, Assault Battalion. They have 8 attack, 4 charge bonus, and 10 defense. So they have way better defense than the swordsman recruits, and way better attack, and way better charge bonus. They are like a medium unit, replacing a early unit. So instead of the sucky swordsman recruits, you get this unit, which is actually pretty decent and look decent too. The males have helmets, while the females do not have helmets. All of them have shields and swords. They have leather armor. They are not heavily armored. They still have good defense. And abilities to glance, they have good morale and good stamina. And they count as a early unit of the late game, like a unit they would very commonly use. It's not an elite unit. It's a big upgrade from the swordsman recruits. Okay, so that's one of the great C units available after turn 151. So late game. Then I have the surveyors, another mix between males and females. This time a crossbowman unit, also only available after turn 151. They have helmets and they have smaller crossbows that are faster to load than the others, and they have backpacks. They are also the bodyguard of Asrieli, one of the heroes from Great Sea Total War that was added to the Kingdom of Hyrule which respawns on turn 151 together with Zelda 5 and Tetralina Zelda 5, which is older Zelda 5. So this unit replaces the Hylian crossbowman in the late game. Good morale, good stamina. So they have worse abilities. I believe the Hylian crossbowman had good against armor. They had armor piercing arrows. This crossbow can't pierce armor anymore. Maybe they are not intended to fight heavily armored units like the others. They have 8 total defense, so I suspect they have about the same defense as the others. They have 7 melee, way better than the 2 of the crossbowman, and charge bonus 3 instead of 1. I believe the crossbowman had 2 attack and 1 charge bonus, and these have 7 attack and 3 charge. So they are way better in melee because they have long swords, sabers instead of knives. And they still do not have any shield, but they have backpacks on the back instead of the shields that the others had. So they have about the same armor, 8 armor. I think it's the same or slightly better than the Hylian crossbowman. They have 7 missile attack, while the Hylian crossbowman I think had about the same. But they had good against armored. They had armor piercing arrows. So these crossbowmen are worse in that sense. They can't pierce armor as well as the others, but they are faster when they load, and they will replace the others and are better in melee and such. I'd say they are the better unit, but might not be as good against heavily armored enemies. Okay, so against the Dark Knights the others might be better, and some of the other heavily armored enemies in the game. Okay, then we have the Knights of New Hyrule. They have better stats than... we have already selected and we need to check them like this. So they are like the Hyrulean Knights, but they have an added cape and some different colors and details, and they have better stats than the others. Knights of New Hyrule, good morale, good stamina, 9 attack, 5 charge bonus, 14 defense. I know that they have better defense, better charge bonus and better attack because I made sure they were slightly better than the others. They are an upgraded, more modern Knight of Hyrule, and they have similar abilities and they will replace the Hyrulean Knights in the late game. So these are the more modern Knights that are available of the turn 151. They are also the bodyguard of Tetralina Zelda 5, the adult version of the teenage version of the character. Okay, then we have the Knights of the Iron Triforce. They are an elite unit. I believe they were in an earlier version of the mod and will be returning in the next version, but they are not in the current version. So they are an elite unit. They will replace the Hyrulean Macemen in the late game. They have better stats and the same numbers. Usually, I believe in the past they replaced the Ironclad Elites and had fewer numbers than they have now. They have 125 in a unit right now. And they used to be fewer and have better stats, but I decided to replace the Hylian, the Hyrulean Macemen, and decided to have them have the same numbers and better stats, pretty much. In the past, they replaced the Ironclad Elites. No, they didn't replace them, but they had the same stats as the Ironclad Elites, but it didn't make sense to to remake a unit with 125 soldiers with a unit that had like 50 or so. So that's why I changed that. But this unit will replace the Hyrulean Macemen after turn 151, and they have better stats. They have 9 attack, 5 charge bonus, and 12 defense. And abilities at a glance, inspires courage in nearby troops, excellent morale, can't hide, very good stamina. So this is a really good unit and recommended to be recruited after Tetralina is spawned. Of course, they are not available in the current release, but in the next release they will be returning. And the reason they were removed was because it was out of unit slots and so on. So, but I found a way to bring them back. There were 2 unused Shrika units, that 2 copies of Shrika units for Hyrule Historia that I managed to replace. So they didn't really need those two units because the Shrika had the same units in the campaign, and I could use the ones from the campaign in Hyrule Historia too. So those units were wasted, and I removed them and added this unit and another Shrika unit, the Shrika Protectors, to the game instead. A new unit for Hyrule and for the Shrika. Okay, so Knights of the Iron Triforce will be returning, and they are an elite unit, very good unit. From Great Sea to War, really cool. They are not as good looking here too, because the entire texture didn't exist anymore. Couldn't find certain bits of the texture, so I didn't know how to make it look exactly like on this picture, but what I could do I did, so it still looks pretty good. The other units had their entire texture available, well this one unfortunately has certain details missing. If you look at this picture and then you look at this, it looks way more dark. There were some differences because I didn't find a proper texture. Okay, and as you can see, General Kazak, who spawns on turn 91 together with Zelda 3, and General Kazo, he has this unique bodyguard. General Kazo's model, it's his unique model, and he looked a little bit glitched here with the eye and such, but that's probably an old glitch with this character. And he has a bodyguard of Ironclad Elites. I believe General Kazo, the future leader of the Undead Stalfos, he also has a unique that's the general, that's an officer I see, and he has bagged eyes I see. But we have General Kazo here. He's a unique model. He's only in the Hyrule Historia campaign, and he has the same bodyguard as Kazak. If that was an officer or general, that means he has a unique spear. That officer might be a little bit glitched. Anyway, that means that no, I believe that is Kazak. Yeah, that's Kazak. He stands right behind Akazo. I was confused. Okay, so we have two unique heroes here that are still in custom battle. They have the same bodyguard, the Ironclad Elites. Okay, and then we have Fi. She's an elephant unit, a very small elephant unit, a single unit entity, their version of a giant unit, but smaller than an ordinary infantry unit. She's very powerful. She has 50 melee attack, shot bonus 10, 126 defense. She has the same defense as other giants in the game, and similar attack. Very powerful. She's immortal against infantry and against cavalry, melee cavalry. But horse cavalry and archers and crossbowmen can probably kill her. I don't know. But I believe Girahim and Fi, unlike other giants, may not be able to be killed by crossbowmen and archers. Because I tried to kill Girahim with Church of Miora using a lot of crossbowmen and ballistas and such, and it didn't work. So she might be immortal against crossbowmen and archers too, and against ballista shots. But trebuchets can kill her. It's just that it's very difficult to hit her with the trebuchets, and mages can kill her for sure. Because Girahim was killed with one shot by one of the mages in the game. I believe one of the Puis killed Girahim in one shot, while he could take an unlimited amount of ballista shots without dying, and an unlimited number of arrows. So she is a really powerful unit. On the map she will be a single unit army. You can defeat entire armies by auto-resolving using her. They are not immortal. I believe they can lose against 5 armies or 3 armies or so. but against one army she will usually win. In battle she is not as strong, but if the enemy only has infantry you will win. It will just take forever. And in melee it will take forever. She has a unique cool animation where she dances around and kill troops. And she can also fire missile attack. It says 1, but it's really powerful. She is good from afar as well. It will be more effective from afar. Okay. So a really good character. And if you want to take her out, you either need to cheat on the map by using out-of-win cheat, or you need to fight her in battle and take her out with mages or similar casters. Siege engines like trebuchets and catapults can take her out, but not ballistas. Okay, and then I believe that she can also be defeated if you hold the center for 20 minutes. I believe in the past it was just 2 minutes. It was easy to win. You just took a unit to the center while she was fighting somewhere else, and if you managed to hold on to the plaza for 2 minutes, you would win and she would die. But I believe I changed that so that I believe the game has 20 minutes now that you need to wait. But in the released version it might still be 2 minutes. But in this version for sure I have added the same time limit as in Warcraft Total Wars. It will take 20 minutes before you can win by holding the plaza, which will give Fee the time she needs to maybe return to the plaza. So she might be really difficult to kill unless you have mages and catapults and trebuchets. Okay. Then we have the Knights of Windfall. They have a very long range. They look cool. They have these Peter crossbow backpacks. They have like automated crossbows as a weapon. You can see there is like ammunition here from the backpack to the crossbow, linked from the backpack to the crossbow. They are very strong. They shoot ballista shots. They need to reload just like the Hylian crossbowmen. They can fire really powerful shots. They are 75 in a unit. Melee attack 4, missile attack 8, charge bonus 2. They are pretty bad in melee, but in from a range they are really good. Effective against armor, long range missiles, excellent morale. So they have excellent morale too. And yeah, they are better than it looks because they are really effective from afar. And then we have the Knights of Red Lions. And I believe I will have to fix the lance. The texture is a little bit off on the lance. I didn't realize that previously. I will need to edit the model and fix the lance. It's currently not correct. The lance looks like it has the wrong texture. They have the same armored cavalry mount as the mounted Hyrulean Knights. It has different shield, a different armor. They have similar lances. A red cape. They're called the Knights of Red Lions. If you look at the picture here, they had a different horse in the past. The vanilla horse with a custom, like the stuff on the horse is custom. At least the skin is custom, but it's a vanilla horse. It was replaced with the much more badass looking armored horse. It's the same knight, just with a buggy texture for the lance that I will need to fix before releasing an update. And these knights replaced them under Hyrulean Knights after turn 151. You can still get the other knights if you have a tier 4 barrack or earlier. Okay, so these have attack 10, charge bonus 10, and total defense 17. So they have the same numbers as the mounted Hyrulean Knights, but have better defense and better attack and better charge bonus. Excellent morale, can form a wedge, powerful charge, good stamina. And they too will be available from the same areas as the others, but only from turn 151 and onwards. So a late game cavalry unit, replacing the other cavalry unit, but you will still get the worst one together with this from the 5th level of a barrack. In the current release you can get these too, but only from Lowland Ranch. In the future version you will get them from more places. So these are the new Great Sea to Lore units, for the originally made for the faction of New Hyrule, but added to this mod for the Kingdom of Hyrule and its late game. Okay, now we can check how effective the Knights of Windfall are. We have an enemy here, Marauders of the Gerudo, a Dark Nut. Siege Ram. They share the ram with the Suna and the Dark Nuts, and it's a Dark Nut ram, that's why it's so big. Look at this. Fire those missiles. They're really effective. They're ballista arrows, as far as I know. The marauders are already broken, trying to escape. Ballista turns into vanilla destroyed. I mean the ram turns into destroyed vanilla ram, and it's destroyed. Okay. So they load their crossbows and fire. They have extremely long, very long range. You can see the town guards walk around like this. It's the old civilian animation, which I think fit well. If you place them further inside the city, they will look better. They will walk around in the city, giving some immersion to the battle. Okay, so we're done. Still have the mercenaries left to preview. See us. Alright, and I'm back. And here we have the mercenaries. We can see all the mercenaries on this side. And then we have fewer ones here because I can only fit some of them. So at first, for every faction they will have access to Tuki mercenaries in the lands of Labyrinth and in the Dodonian plains. Where they have access to units like the Aquadungo-Jokis, the slingers, which are using like slingshots. We have the Tuki elite hunters, the hunters of 4.6 of Hyrule Total War, which are better and more elite than the older model used in the old version of the mod. Add the new models to this version of the mod to increase the roster of the 2K faction. They are a faction in the game, both custom battle and in the campaign. They are a very weak faction, but they still have a few units. I believe they have about 5 to 7 units. So in the campaign you can recruit all the 4.6 units as mercenaries, the Aquadungo-Jokis, the slingers, the 2K elite hunters, which are spearmen, but they are also javelin throwing spearmen. They can throw javelins from afar, and they can also go into melee and fight with spears, good against cavalry. Aquadungo-Jokis, they are cavalry, good against other cavalry, and they have 2K riders that can throw javelins and use spears in melee, so they are pretty much mounted. 2K elite hunters, a really good unit, the best unit in their roster. Then we have the bonkers, their infantry unit. They have no weapons, but they have a helmet, and they in their description they jump at the enemy and attack with their helmet. So they hit the enemy with their head multiple times. But in the game, of course, there are no such animations. They will just fight like an ordinary infantry without any weapon. They have good armor. They have a helmet and such. They don't have very good armor on the body, though. I believe only cloth armor or clothes. They have no real armor, only some cheap clothes, but their helmet is pretty good. Okay, so the Tuki, they are available on the Dodonian plains and in Labyrinth and in the Tuki lands. And the faction of the Tuki has a unique scripted feature that that was in the old version of the game too, where they could, if you ally them, then 10 turns later, if you send a diplomat to the Tuki faction, then 10 turns later they will join your faction, and then you will get their areas in the game. They start with 2 areas, the 2K areas in the on the Ire of Crescent Island, and from that island you can get all of these 3 units, and you can get their old unit named the 2K Hunters. It's exactly like this unit, used with worse stats, because it fights, I believe, it throws javelins, but unlike this unit it won't use javelins in melee. Instead it will fight barehanded in melee. It has way worse stats in melee, but slightly worse stats with their javelin and worse armor and such. Okay, so you get all 4 units plus the cavalry in the campaign if they join you. As mercenaries you can get their infantry unit, but you cannot get the cavalry as far as I know. but if the faction joins, you will be able to get all their units, and you'll get their hero, and you'll get their territory, including any territory they've taken as well. And the cavalry, unlike the other units, are only available from Crescent Island. I believe they are not available from other areas. Maybe the Tuke can get them from Labrina too. So this is like a mercenary unit, but they are like mercenaries in the game, but they are also available as faction units for the Tuke faction, and to any faction the Tuke will assimilate into through a script. You send a diplomat to the Tuke, and if they accept an alliance, then after 10 turns later you will get their areas, their units, their recruitment, and their hero. They have a unique hero, Princess Utailu, in the game too, that you will get if she's still alive when they join you. If you conquer their area instead, you won't get their hero, but you will still be able to get all their mercenary troops from the same areas, but you won't get the Akadongo Jockeys then, because they are only available if they join you as a faction. Okay, so that's the Tuke, only included one of their units here. Then we have the Suna, a similar story. We have the Suna Tribomen, and the Suna Tridentiers, the two new units from 4.6 that they added to the submod. And then we have the two older units, the Suna Crossbowmen and the Suna Spearmen. They are also available. This faction is also a minor faction in the game, and they have two siege engines. They have the Suna Tribaliste from 4.6, and they have the Suna Cigarette. So this unit has 6 unique units. This faction has 6 unique units in the campaign, the Suna faction, and if they join you, you get all their units, all their territory, and their heroes. They have one unique hero in the game, Master Vorde the Harsh. They have 2 areas from the start, just like the Tuke. They have Parapa and Suna use their capital. And I've included only the Suna Cigarette, their best unit, in the roster here that we will preview. But they have the same story as the Tuke. They are their own smaller faction in the game. They are much stronger than the Tuke because the Suna Cigarette is really good. Like cavalry with crossbowmen on it, so it's ranged cavalry, like a ranged tank cavalry. A tank with crossbowmen. Okay, and they can join you if you send a diplomat to them and then get an alliance, and then 10 turns later they will join the faction that has entered an alliance with them. But I don't believe it will work with the Uka or the Church of Majora, only the other factions. And I don't know if it will work with the smaller factions like the Tuke, the Zebrosian, the Huskus Remnants, etc., and the Huronians. It might only work with the real factions of the game that we are in the game. Back when Undying Nephilim was working on it. So they are the main factions, except which excludes all the smaller factions, and the 5 smaller factions are excluded, and I believe Church of Majora and the Uka are excluded too. Okay, but it's the same story. We'll represent them with 1 unit, and I don't believe they are available as mercenaries, unlike the Tuki that also are available as mercenaries. But they can join your faction if the faction allies your faction. Okay, and then we have the Storm Sora in version 4.6 of Hyrule Total War. These are similar to the Suna and the Tuke. They are their own smaller faction and can join you if you ally them. But in this submod that's not the case. Instead they are regional units. So the faction of the River Sora will start with the area of Fort of Wings, the only area where you can get these 3 units. There are like 1 Tide Runners unit, a Spearman unit, and then there is a Heavy Infantry unit, the Vipers, and then Stormbringers, a Mage unit. You can get all 3 from Fort of Wings, and any faction can get them from there if they hold Fort of Wings, except, I believe, the Church of Majora. The Kingdom of Hyrule can get these units if they ever take Fort of Wings. But it's held by the River Sora at the start of the game. So it's unlikely that the Kingdom of Hyrule will ever get the units. Usually it's taken by others like the Odona Province, the Kokiri, the Lyssalfos, etc., the Labrinians. Okay, but they are available to the Kingdom of Hyrule if you take that area, only from that area. It will give access to a mage unit, spearman unit, and a heavy infantry unit. I'd say the spearman unit is the same in terms of stats as the River Sora basic units. It's not very good, but the Vipers are pretty good. They have very good defense, a very good tank unit, and then we have a mage. Not the best mage, but still a mage, so it's very good. And then we have the Gorons of Rolling Ridge, and they are also regional units in this mod. I believe in 4.6 they are their own little faction. They have 3 different units and 1 custom hero, and the Storm Sword also has a custom hero. The heroes are in the campaign. So, for example, the River Sora starts with 40 wings, so the hero Maxe of the Storm Sora will be available to the River Sora as one of their heroes. If the Kingdom of Hyrule takes the area, they will be able to recruit the 3 units, but they won't get the hero. And the hero has a bodyguard of the mages, the Stormbringers. And then we have the Gorons of Rolling Ridge. They are available from the Crown Ridge area on the map, surrounded by Tuki rebel areas and Labrynnian areas. So Labrynna is the faction most likely to take this area and get these if controlled by the AI. They are a bunch of heavy infantry units. They have the rock shamans, the bracers, and the bastions. I believe the bracers are the smallest ones, the most numerous. And then we have slightly bigger ones. So these are like basic Gorons, these are medium Gorons, and these are heavy bastions are the best ones. And they have their own hero in the campaign, but as they start as rebel units, it's a rebel hero. And the faction that takes the area will get these units, but they are not available to the Church of Majora, I believe. Might be available to the Uka, I'm not sure, but everyone else should have them. And the hero is only available to the rebels, so you won't get their hero, but you will get their units from that area only. So these units are the same in that sense. Then we have the Miners Mischiefs, or the Pikuru. And the Pikuru, they are available only from the Pikuru ruins. Anyone that holds that area will be able to recruit this unit. And that's in the Kokiri Forest. I believe that the Undead Staff will start with areas, so they will have access to these from the start, but it's likely that the Dek tribes or the Kokiri might take the area and get them. So they are also a regional unit. Then we have the Armus. We have Armus Statues, Beamus, and Armus Warriors. The Armus Warriors are like the Twilight Armus, and the Armus Statues, they are Armus long since abandoned in the Goron Mountains. And then we have the Beamus. I believe they are probably connected to the River Sora in some way. Don't remember. Anyway, they are available in different areas from different settlements on the map. In certain areas on the map you have settlements that can excavate ruins. If you excavate a ruin, nothing might happen, or you might get resources, money, whatever, or you might get one of these units. And if you find one of these units, you will be able to recruit them, and they are very strong infantry units, and I believe this one is even missile. But I believe that you need to excavate a ruin I believe there are many levels you can excavate them. I don't remember if it was 5 or more. And you only get these units in the later ones. So if you excavate ruins, then you might get a resource. And then you excavate them a little bit more, and you get nothing. And then you excavate again, and you get nothing. And then you get maybe a different Armus unit that is way worse with fewer numbers. And then you get nothing, and then you do it again, and you get one of these, and then you continue like that until you get the best one. So these are available from certain areas if you excavate the ruins. Also, some factions can get 1 or 2 of these units from the Uka capital if they ever take the Uka capital, because the way the game works, the submod works, is that if you take the capital of the Uka, you are rewarded by some really good units in the mod. And some factions like the Kingdom of Hyrule will get access to the Silent Guards, Silent Stalkers, Volker Cannons of the Uka, and the Demon Commandants. So you get these 4 units from the Oka capital if you take it as the Kingdom of Hyrule. But others, like the Labyrinthans that do not believe in the goddesses, might get one of the, for example, the Armor's Warriors. I believe Labyrinth get this one, the Twilight Armors instead. So there are some different units you get from the Oka capital depending on what faction you play. Gyarados, as an example, would get this unit instead, the Cavalians from the Oka capital. Okay, and then we have some mercenaries. We have the Gerudo Pirates. They are old. They are in every version of Hyrule War. They are available from certain areas on the map as mercenaries for different factions and for the Kingdom of Hyrule. So they are Gerudo women that has turned to piracy and are willing to join Hyrule and fight their own country for money. And then we have the Rita Fencers from Great Sea War, used as mercenaries from the same areas as the Gerudo Pirates, because that made sense. They can join factions like the Lanayur Province and the Kingdom of Hyrule. Maybe someone else too can recruit them, like the Moblins. And yeah, they are pretty cool. Gerudo Pirates, they are crossbowmen, similar to the Surveyors, but available from the early game. And then the Rita Fencers, they are, because they have sabers, melee, and they have smaller crossbows, just like the Surveyors. And then we have the Rita Fencers. I believe they have defense too. They have no backpacks. Then we have the Rita Fencers. They are a flying unit, a really cool flying unit with a unique animation. They are spearmen, but they fly. They are very fast. One of the fastest units in the game. Easily the fastest infantry unit in the game. Okay, they are also a mercenary unit. Then we have Ashe, the mercenary. She's a hero, but she counts as a mercenary in the game. She's a mercenary for 3 factions in the game. She's a mercenary for the Kingdom of Hyrule, for the Labyrinth regime, and for the Odona province. So originally she's an Odonian girl. And that's why she is available in Odona. And of course, as an Odonian girl, she might want to fight for the Kingdom of Hyrule too, should Hyrule ever go to the area where she is recruited and hire her. So she is willing to fight for both, and she has the same bodyguard in both the Kingdom of Hyrule's army and in the Odona province army. She's a bodyguard of Hylian infantry, I believe, or Hyrulean knights, I don't remember, we'll see that soon. But if you play as the Kingdom of Hyrule, she will have a similar unit as other generals. I suspect it's the Hylian infantry, so nothing special. But it might be the Hyrulean knights. If that's the case, she's slightly better, but still nothing special in the Hylian army. Just a cool custom general. If you hire her as the Odona province, on the other hand, you will get the same bodyguard, which means she's the only unit in their army that will have a Hylian bodyguard, Hylian unit as a bodyguard. So it might be the Hylian infantry or the Hyrulean knights, but it's the only such unit you will get as the Odona province. If you hire her as Labrina, the Labrina regime, then she will have a completely different bodyguard. Then she will have a bodyguard of Palace Watch, I believe, Labrinian Palace Watch units. So they won't get access to Hylian units, unlike the other two. Okay, and she's available in the area of Symmetry. So the settlement of Symmetry, it's a Labrinian area, Labrinian city, and outside of that city you have Ashe available to be recruited as a mercenary. If Labrina recruits her, no one else will be able to recruit her. She can only be hired once, and can only be hired by one of the factions. So if you play as Labrina, you can just move out one of your heroes from Symmetry and hire her. If you play as the Kingdom of Hyrule or as the Odona province, you will need to move a general all the way to Symmetry and hire her over there and avoid being attacked on the way there. So if you play as Hyrule or as the Odona province, she won't be as easy to be. It won't be as easy to hire her because you need to move a general all the way to Symmetry and hire her there. But she is available to all 3, and she has a unique strat model if you play as the Labrina regime or as the Odona province, but not if you play as the Kingdom of Hyrule, because you can only have at maximum 10 custom heroes on the map at once, and Hyrule has 10 other heroes as strat models, so they didn't get Ashe. Then we have Malon, another mercenary that is available to both the Kingdom of Hyrule and the Odona province. She is like Ashe, an Odonian girl. That's why she is available to both. She has a bodyguard of mounted Odonian farmer archers. She has a bodyguard that is quite common in the Odonian army. It's nothing special, just a unique bodyguard. But if you use the Kingdom of Hyrule, then she is completely unique currently in all the earlier versions of Hyrule Total War and of the Sabmod Classic Ultimate, and in the current release you can only get her from outside of London Ranch in Hylian lands, and you can only get one of her. If she dies, she's gone. You won't get that unit, her bodyguard, again. So Hyrule can only get one mounted horse archer unit in the campaign. In the coming version, I have decided to make the mounted horse archers of the Odona province a London Ranch regional unit for the Kingdom of Hyrule. But in the current release, only Malon has that bodyguard, so it's very rare. Okay, you know, their main enemy, the Gyarados, they have a lot of light cavalry and mounted horse archers and such, while Hyrule only had Malon to counter that. Okay, let's start. Okay, we're inside the game. Take a look at the cavalry. Here we have the Kadongo Jockeys, the best unit in the Toki army, available to anyone if the Toki join or are assimilated into the army. It will look like this, a really good cavalry unit, throwing javelins and fighting in melee using spears. We have Malon's bodyguard, completely unique unit for the Kingdom of Hyrule. Can be hired outside of London Ranch, as I said. If she dies, you won't get this bodyguard again. They are not available as a recruitable unit for the Kingdom of Hyrule, the current release. In the future version, they will have them available in London Ranch and from Odonian lands. And she's a custom hero with a strat model on the map for the Kingdom of Hyrule and for the Odona province. So she is the only horse archer unit in use by the Kingdom of Hyrule in the current release. Then we have the bastions, the Gorons of Rolling Ridge, the best one, best unit. Heavy infantry. All of them are heavy infantry, but that's the biggest one. Then we have the rock shamans, like the medium Crown Ridge Goron unit, and we have the smaller ones over here. They have officers too, bastion officers. Check the stats. See that the Kadongo Jockey is start the battle, pause the game. Kadongo Jockeys, they have 5 attack, 8 missile attacks. They have a really good missile attack with their javelins. 1 charge bonus, so 6 in total attack. Total defense 2. Then abilities at a glance: can swim, can form shooting circle, weapons thrown before charge, excellent morale, can hide very good stamina. It's the best unit in the Toki army, and it's a really good mercenary unit. I don't know if they are available as mercenaries in certain areas, but they are certainly available whenever the Toki join the faction, unless you're playing as the Judge Majora or the Uke. Okay, and I don't know if they are available to the other minor factions, but they are available to all the main factions. Okay, so can swim. That means that on the map, if there is a river, you can move it over the river. You don't need a boat to move it over the river, so they can be handy in that sense, as the Aquadongos can swim, so it makes sense. So they can be useful if you are blockaded by a river somewhere. And they can form a shooting circle, so they can run around in a circle and throw their javelins, which is good, and because then when the infantry and melee cavalry of enemies get closer, they will move away. So they will roll around like this and then move away whenever the enemy gets closer. And then they have excellent morale, so they won't easily break in melee, and they throw their spears before charging in melee. Very good stamina, so it's a really good Tokyo unit. Pretty much the only good Tokyo unit. Okay, we have the Suna cigarettes, like really slow mobile crossbowmen bastions. We have like these mobile platforms with crossbowmen on them that fire crossbows. They can drive over enemies in melee, and they can shoot crossbows at enemies from afar. And of course the unit can be taken out by any ranged unit in the game, but melee infantry unit and melee cavalry can't do shit to these units. It's immortal against infantry and against melee cavalry, but can be easily taken out by ranged units and siege engines. Okay, but it can still fight ranged units thanks to the crossbows here. The Suna crossbows, and it's available when the Suna joins the faction or assimilate into the faction, just like the Kodongo jockeys, but for them it was the Tokei, and for this unit it's the Suna. Same with other Suna units. And then Crown Ridge Gorons. This is the weakest one, 131 of the bracers. Check their stats. They have 4 attack, 1 charge bonus, 22 defense. They have really good defense, but not very good attack. Can't hide in long grass. Can hide in long grass, so these can hide in grass on the battlefield, which can be handy, and good morale. Okay, then we have the rock shamans. I believe the bodyguard of the hero was a rock shaman unit, but they are not mages, they are spearmen. Thought at first that it would be mages. I mean, they have like a staff, but they work like spearmen. Okay, they have 4 attack and 1 sharp bonus, same as the bracers, and 22 defense. Same defense too, but they are 93 in a unit, so they have fewer. They have chanting inspires nearby troops, so they are good for morale, good for boosting morale of the army, and then they can hide in long grass, bonus fighting cavalry, good morale. So these units, unlike the others, are good against cavalry too, but have about the same stats despite being bigger. And then, oh fuck, we have a Silver Surfer. I didn't know that. So I will need to fix the Silver Surfer. That means if the Kingdom of Hyrule ever conquers the Sky City area on the map, the capital of the Uka, then they can recruit these, but they will look like this. So I'll need to fix their Silver Surfer. The texture doesn't work because I have forgotten to give the mount part of the unit. The Hylian ownership, probably. So they are available to the Kingdom of Hyrule, but they will look like this in the campaign in the current release. Didn't know that. It will be fixed. Okay. And we'll check the bastions first, before checking that unit. So we have the bastions, the bigger Crown Ridge Gorons. They have 7 attack and 1 charge bonus. So I would say that these are better than the others. Stronger. They can hide in long grass too. Good morale. Can trick the enemy that they are stones, probably. And then all of a sudden they move and attack. Okay. And they have 27 defense. They have better defense and better attack. Same charge bonus. I think I will increase the stats of the rock shamans. I think they should have slightly better attack, but same charge. And slightly better defense because they are bigger, so they should have better defense. But the bastions are the best one, and they have, but they do not have as good stats against cavalry. So I guess I will change the stats of the rock shamans to have better attack and better defense. And the bastions, they will, I don't know, maybe they will get scare infantry units, because I don't know if I were a knight and we're about to fight these stone golems, I would be pretty scared. So maybe I will add a bonus against infantry. We'll see. Okay. And we have the Miners Mischiefs. They are smaller than the Kokiri. They are the smallest units in the game. The Deku Scrubs might be similar in size, but I think these are even smaller than the Deku Scrubs. They are like small humanoids using spears. They are very numerous, 253, the maximum number. I believe the maximum is 255. They are almost maximum number. They lack 2 officers probably, and then abilities of glance, can hide anywhere, so they can hide anywhere because of their small size. Could be useful. Good morale. 3 attack, 1 charge bonus, 0 defense, very bad defense. Very useful as they can hide anywhere, and they're very numerous. Even if they have very low attack, they are very numerous, so it will take a while for them to kill all of them. And yeah, they are only available from Picoro Ruins for the faction that holds that area, and not for the Church of Majora or the Uka, I believe. Okay, and the Undead Stalfos will start with this area. So I believe it's very unlikely that the Kingdom of Hyrule will get the Gorons here, because they are far away. Same with the Minish Mischiefs and the Storm Sora, very unlikely. It's likely as the player that you will get the Suna stuff, because they start close to the Kingdom of Hyrule, so you just need an alliance and then wait 10 turns. The Tukke, on the other hand, are unlikely, because they are most likely killed or defeated before you can even get to their area and form an alliance. And the Uka, you get their units automatically when you hold the capital of the Church of Majora. Seems this unit is a Silver Surfer 2. So I did a mistake. I didn't add the ownership to the Uka units for the Kingdom of Hyrule. I believe I added it to the export SQ unit file, but I didn't add it to the battle models.modeldb file, another file where you need to add their ownership, or the texture will be like this, because the unit works for their faction and is in their faction selection. So that means I have added the ownership to the edu file, or the export SQ unit file, but the fact they are Silver Surfers shows that I have forgotten about the BMMDB file, so I will need to fix that. Okay, so the Uka elite units are supposed to be available to the Kingdom of Hyrule. However, they have access to the other units from there, the Silent Stalkers with working textures. We checked them, you can see that they are 14 a unit, 9 attack, 2 sharp bonus, 30 defense. They are really good defense and pretty good attack as well. Abilities at glance, effective against armor, so they can cut through armor. Excellent morale, can't hide, can fly. So these guys can fly. I don't know what that means though. I know that can swim means that they can cross like lakes and rivers, but or rivers actually, but fly, I have never seen that before. Maybe it's just the same but with a different text, I don't know. I believe they can cross rivers because they are flying, floating in the air. Okay, the other unit they have of that type is the Silent Guards, an infantry unit. 14 a unit here as well. 9 attack, 2 charge bonus, same melee stats. They have only 20 defense instead of 30. So I would say the Silent Stalkers are better than the Silent Guards. And the Silent Guards can't hide either. They have excellent morale, just like the others. And frighten nearby enemy troops. So they are good against enemy infantry troops, frighten nearby infantry troops, enemy infantry actually. Okay, so these guys are really good, but I would go for the others. Recruitment cost varies. Okay, they cannot cross rivers because they cannot fly or float like the others. Okay, as for the others, the Uka units have a really good siege engine here. The Walker Cannons, one of the best siege engines in the game. And they have 7 melee attack they can run, and run over troops, cause chaos in the enemy lines. They can fire a giant cannonball, the unique projectile, unique to this unit, very powerful. Can one-shot giants of the enemy and can kill a lot of troops too. 40 total defense, really good defense. Abilities at a glance, special attack, bonus fighting cavalry, very good long-range missiles, or very long-range missiles, frighten nearby enemy, excellent morale, can't hide, good stamina. Really good siege engine, only available from the capital of the Uka. If you are playing anyone else than the Uka, I believe the Uka themselves can get them from any area if they have enough religious like conversion in the settlement. They need religious conversion or level to get their troops, but if they have enough of their own religion in the settlement, they can recruit these troops from anywhere, while the Kingdom of Hyrule can only get them from the capital of the Uka. Okay, and then we have the Democratic Commandants, an animal handler unit, really powerful units. You have the animal handler golems that will charge at enemy immediately, and then you have the handlers, the actual unit, that also will attack in melee. Both are very strong. 7 attack, 1 sharp bonus, 22 defense. The defense is really good, and they inspire courage in nearby troops, frighten nearby enemy, excellent morale, and can't hide. And the animal handlers are also used as generals for the faction, so it's a really good unit. And after that we have the golems. These are armors warriors, a really good golem unit. 30 defense, same defense as the Uka units and the silent stalkers. It's really good. 7 attack and 1 sharp bonus, similar to them in stats. Available to any faction from, I believe, from most factions if they excavate ruins enough times, but only available to some from the Sky City like Labrina. Okay, then we have the army statues, another armies unit, also available from excavating ruins, maybe available for some factions from the Uka capital as well. Like I think the Gorons would get this unit if they hold the Uka capital. Attack 4, verse attack. Sharp bonus is 10, so they have better charge bonus. Way better. Armors warriors had 1. Okay, and then they have 30 defense, just like the other. They have better abilities. The others lack the abilities. This has combat bonus in snow, excellent morale, powerful charge, can't hide, good stamina. It's a really good unit. Available when you excavate ruins and for some factions from the Sky City or Uka capital. Okay, and then we have the Bimos. They are available from the Uka capital if you play factions like the River Sora, and they can also be available if you excavate ruins. I believe if you want them from ruins, you should probably have areas in the fairy territory. I believe the fairies will get them from their starting areas, because you can excavate those areas, and the Huron areas too, maybe. They also have 13 defense, but they only have 1 melee and 1 sharp bonus, so really bad melee attack, but they have 18 missile, which is really good. The only missile armors unit. And abilities at a glance, frighten nearby enemy infantry, excellent morale, can't hide, very good stamina. It's a really good unit, and the only one that is ranged out of the armors. And then we have the 2 mercenaries. We have the Rito and Fencers from the Great Civil War expansion. These bird-like characters, so and they definitely made an entire army of these guys, different units. Entire roster was made, but never released, never rigged. He only rigged this model, and it was in the demo of the mod, of the Great Civil War mod. It was a planned expansion of Hyrule War. He released demo in December 2014. I got it in 2017 or 2018, I believe, and I asked for it. And this was the only Rito unit. I believe they are called Rito, the bird-like people. So this was the only Rito unit in the mod. I believe it's actually one of the heroes of the faction, used as a unit to try the demo, to try the animation when they fly and such. And unfortunately, he never rigged the rest of the roster, and so if it still existed, it would still need to be rigged in a 3D program to be able to use the units. So you can say he did create all the models for the faction, but didn't rig any unit except this one, which was a hero that I don't remember the name of, and it's used as its own unit here in this submod. And they are a spearman unit, but they fly very fast, and then when they enter battle they will move down to the ground and fight like any other spear unit, and then when they break they will fly away from the enemy. So they fly whenever they move. They can fly slowly when they walk, and they can fly fast when they run. but they fight on their feet in actual melee combat using spears. So flying spear unit with very basic stats: 3 attack, 3 charge bonus, not the best, similar to the town guards, probably slightly better, and 150 rito in a unit, but they are pretty good in defense. They have 7 defense, which is decent, like a medium unit, and abilities to glance, can swim, and fast moving. Should probably be can fly, but it's the same thing. They can move over rivers, so they can be useful in that sense. And also they are very good at hunting down fleeing enemy infantry and such. They are not as fast as the cavalry, but they are faster than infantry, so they are good at hunting down fleeing infantry and killing them. Okay, they do not have the best morale, and they have very basic stats, and they are a mercenary unit available to many factions, from especially the Majora area, I believe the border between Snow Peak Castle and the Majora area of Rutoval, I believe. You can recruit them there. That's also where you can recruit the Gyarados pirates. We'll check now. The Gyarados pirates is another mercenary unit from that area, the one that was in that area from the beginning, the first version of Hyrule War. I believe the Rito and Fencers were added in my submod, taken from the Great City War demo. Okay, had to add all the all the new animations from the demo to this submod too, so they aren't in the original mod, the animations. So these are Gyarados pirates. They have taken up arms for anyone that is willing to pay them rupees for their service, and they are an early game unit. They have 5 melee attack because they use sabers, similar to the assault battalions, I believe. So they are pretty good in melee. Melee attack 5, shot bonus 3, so they are a medium unit in melee. And then they have 4 missile attack. It's pretty bad. I believe the crossbowmen of Hyrule, the Hylian crossbowmen, had like 8 or 7, maybe 9. So they are not the best crossbowmen, but they are way better than the crossbowmen in melee, and are still good crossbowmen unit. They are probably similar to the surveyors, but they have 8 total defense. I would say they are similar to the surveyors. They have good morale and good stamina. Available from that area I mentioned, and from Moblin areas, I believe too. The borders between the Moblins and Oduna Fawn, an Odunian area close to one of the Moblin cities. So they can be recruited from 2 areas on the map. Okay, and then we have Ashay the mercenary. This Odunian girl. She has Labrinian armor. She's a mercenary that went to Labrina and allowed herself to be recruited as a mercenary in their army. But if you send a general from Hyrule there, you can get her for Hyrule instead. And then you get a bodyguard of Hylian knights. So, not a unique bodyguard. Link has the same bodyguard, but I believe Link and Ashley are the only ones in Hyrule's roster that have this bodyguard. Ordinary generals have the Hylian infantry, and other generals have better units as their bodyguards. Other heroes, I mean. So she has pretty good bodyguard. And if you play the Oduna province, this is the only unit that will have this bodyguard in their army. So it's very, very good. It's the best infantry unit in the Oduna province army, and the only one you'd get. Similar to how Malin is the only horse archer unit you get if you play as the Kingdom of Hyrule in the current release. Alright, so Ashay can be recruited outside of Symmetry, as stated earlier, which is a Labrinian city. And then we have Malin, available from London Ranch, outside of London Ranch, just outside. She can be recruited by both Oduna and the Kingdom of Hyrule, and it's a horse archer bodyguard unit. See the stats for Ashay. She has 8 attack, 4 charge bonus, 10 defense. I believe she has the same or better defensive stats than the Hylian knights, and similar charge bonus, and probably the same attack, good morale, good stamina. And then we have Malon. She has 3 melee attack and 3 charge bonus, so pretty bad melee attack, same as the Rito unit in melee, really bad. She's using a knife, I believe, in melee, just like her bodyguard farmer archers. But she has really good missile attack, 18 missile attack. And it's the only unit that will have that good missile attack in the Hylian army, because the unit you can recruit from Longland Ranch in the next version of Hyrule Total War will not be this hero. It will be the mounted farmer archers of the Odona province, and they are a similar unit as this unit, but with worse missile attack stats, I believe. So the 18 stat here is unique for this hero. Abilities at a glance: can form shooting circles, so she can run around in a circle just like the Aquadongo Jockeys, and fire arrows at the enemy, and when the enemy gets closer she will move away. It's very effective on the battlefield, but kinda useless in siege battles. Combat bonus in woods or snow, so she is more effective in snowy areas or in the woods. And then she has good stamina too. 3 total defense, very bad defense, but you can see she hardly has any armor, same with her bodyguard. And yeah, in the next version of Hyrule you will get similar units from Longland Ranch and from Odonian lands if you take them from Odona. But in the current release she is the only one with this type of bodyguard available to the Kingdom of Hyrule. And that's all the units, I believe, that are unique to the Kingdom of Hyrule, or that I felt should be previewed for the Kingdom of Hyrule. This video became a bit longer than I had expected. I'm gonna fix the Silver Surfer Uka units soon for this faction. They might be Silver Surfers for more than Hyrule, we'll see. I will fix them for everyone that has them. They're lacking in tries in the BMMDB file, so the textures are not visible. That's why they turn into silver models, because the textures do not show properly. Okay, so this was the Kingdom of Hyrule with their base army and their mercenaries and of their late game army. Thank you for watching. Bye.